There is a famous audio recording circulating on the internet that claims to capture the sounds of hell. According to the legend, researchers lowered a microphone miles deep underground, only to record what sounded like thousands of human voices screaming in agony. This terrifying story is tied to a real place, the Kola Superdeep Borehole in Russia. The popular claim is that Soviet scientists dug so deep they accidentally punctured the roof of the underworld. The myth reaches its climax with a total evacuation. The researchers were supposedly so terrified by what they heard on their headsets that they dropped their equipment and permanently abandoned the project. We have to look past the urban legend to find the physical reality that actually stopped those drills. The truth behind this abandoned site reveals something far more intimidating than ghosts. It exposes the absolute, unbreakable physical limits of the planet we live on. To find the real-world origins of the hole, we travel to the freezing extremes of the Murmansk region in Russia. During the Cold War, Soviet scientists embarked on an incredibly ambitious project to dig down into the Earth as far as physically possible. The towering derrick at the Kola site housed a massive, vertically integrated scientific laboratory, purpose-built with specialized technology to probe depths far beyond the limits of standard industrial drilling. The researchers had very specific objectives. They wanted to track how massive tectonic plates shifted far beneath the surface and map out unknown layers of deep mineral deposits. Based on the geological models of the time, the team expected to find predictable layers of solid rock the entire way down. They had no idea what was actually waiting for them in the dark. This was a pure pursuit of geological knowledge that ultimately pushed human engineering right to its breaking point. The Soviet team eventually managed to dig down 12 kilometers, but simply stating that number makes it hard to conceptualize the true scale of the depth. For a clearer picture, we can look at Mount Everest. At 8.8 kilometers above sea level, it stands as our most universally understood benchmark for extreme vertical distance. This diagram compares the two extremes. Tracking the borehole downward, the drill path easily clears the 8.8 kilometer length of Everest inverted. The drill keeps tearing through the crust, miles past the equivalent height of the tallest mountain, reaching the monumental 12-kilometer mark. Along the journey, the scientists pulled up a wealth of geological data, identifying distinct layers of the Earth's crust and observing mineral distributions no one had ever seen before. At this 12-kilometer floor, the predictable layers of the Earth's crust changed. The drilling process became erratic and hostile, as the properties of the rock itself began to shift in ways the team hadn't seen in the miles above. Humans can engineer machines to cover incredible distances, but at those depths, our ambition remains entirely at the mercy of the physical laws governing the inner Earth. At 12 kilometers deep, the temperature spiked to a staggering 180 degrees Celsius, far higher than the geologists had modeled. Under that kind of intense heat and crushing pressure, the physical properties of the stone altered. The rock lost its rigid, brittle nature and began to behave more like a dense, flowing plastic. Digging through a semi-plastic environment requires enormous force, which had a devastating effect on the drilling equipment. The 180-degree heat literally caused these heavy-duty metal drill bits to soften and warp. The teeth structurally failed as the steel reached its thermal limit. This absolute mechanical failure, brought on by the planet's internal heat, forced the drilling to a definitive halt. That temperature acts as a hard wall. It is the exact barrier where our current technological capabilities simply melt away. Reconsidering the legendary screams of the damned through the lens of extreme heat and pressure makes the true origin of the sound perfectly clear. This diagram shows a clean audio waveform becoming fractured. When researchers lowered microphones to capture geological vibrations, the 18-degree heat and immense pressure overwhelmed the sensitive electronics inside the equipment. That severe technical glitch created overlapping, chaotic audio frequencies. To the human ear, a heavily corrupted microphone feed naturally mimics the pitch and distortion of human screams. The Kola Superdeep Borehole remains a monumental triumph of scientific boundary pushing, mapping the deep crust with a level of precision that outlasts any urban legend. The Earth's crust holds extreme, hostile frontiers that remain unconquered, proving that reality is often far more formidable and fascinating than the myths we invent.